Okay, that looks better. I think I had a closed YouTube live going. So yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's get going. Just looking back here, I was asking people where they're from. New Hampshire. Hi there. New Jersey. Louisiana. I think I always say that wrong. Oh, I share my stuff with all my friends. That's cute. Thanks, Kelsey. Madison Goodell. What's that? Madison Goodell. I don't know what that is. Nashville, Tennessee. Okay, let's get going with the. You can ask questions. I don't understand what you're saying. Anyway, don't worry about it. Okay, let's get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddler and older kids, 3 to 12, or you can look into coaching. I have a wait list, but I'm just finished with a bunch of clients a week or 2 ago. So I'm onboarding a bunch of new clients right now, but I'm mixing up the ages. So anyway, there's an intake form if you're interested in coaching. If not, don't do that. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to scroll ahead just to make sure that you're still here. From Prince Edward Island. We used to live on Vancouver Island and love the island and Vancouver very much. Excellent. I've only lived in 2 places. I've lived in Vancouver, and then I've lived in 3 places, Vancouver, Sydney, and Brisbane in Australia. And I was there for about 20 years. Yeah, very lucky. Really nice places. Ohio Grandma, love your videos. Thanks so much for your support. I was going through some of the comments today. I don't usually have time for that, but my daughter was at my desk. She was doing a bunch of work on our podcast because she does all the behind the scenes stuff. And so I was just sitting on the couch answering comments. Oh, some people really hate me. I love that stuff. I don't know. It's great to be loved, but it's also great to be hated when you're in a business like this because it means you're shaking things up. So, and I'm okay with that. Long Island, hello. I was tagging my friend so she could watch your video. Cute. Montreal, Peachland, BC. I have no idea where that is. Is that near Penticton? I don't know. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to read from S. Bedzers on YouTube is a regular. Hi, Lisa. Should I give a post consequence if 6-year-old tells me he pushed a girl at school, but teacher did not mention anything to me? Basically, he told me himself. The first time I would let that go. And I'd say, I should give you a consequence. But the fact that you owned up to it, I'm not going to. But, you shouldn't push. And, I should consequence. But we'll just call it even. Okay? But, I'd give him a hug for that. Means he has a conscience. That's a good thing. Okay. 5-year-old recently started kindergarten and bedtime has gone from okay to pure hell. Am I doing things completely wrong or is there a storm before the calm? Well, I don't know. Are you using my bedtime battles course? Because I don't know what you mean. Because I often talk about the storm before the calm, but I don't know what storm you're getting going. Like what I mean is like, what's he fighting back against? Or is he just all of a sudden you can't figure out why? If not, I would still do the bedtime battles. Do I look darker than usual? We did change a bunch of stuff around here, but I just look darker than usual. Okay. I'm excited for your podcast. So are we. We worked on that all day. Let me correct that. My daughter worked on that all day. I mean, I do the talking, but she does all the grunt work behind the scenes, I'll tell you. She's on my podcast with me, by the way. So if you watch it, you'll be able to hear it and watch it somewhere. I don't know where it's going to be going. We're just working on them right now. We're just buying more equipment. And every time you start something, it's like, ooh, we got to buy this. We got to buy that. It's all good. Okay. What's the best way to handle severe separation anxiety and meltdowns with an autistic 3-year-old? Autism is more of a specialty. That's sort of a special needs kind of thing. So that would be coaching only. I can't give you a general answer with an autistic child. I don't know where on the spectrum they are. Are they mainstreamed? Are they high functioning, low functioning? So that would be coaching. If you want to hire me to help you with this, you'd have to look into the coaching intake form in the link above in my bio or something. I don't know where it is. Okay. You know what's funny is that my daughter and I were talking about this today. So many people ask me to do a video on consequences. Whenever we do, no one watches it. It's some of our lowest performing videos are consequences. So we only put out what people like. You're the ones who tell me what you want by viewing them, not by saying you want them. Because what people say they want and what they actually watch are often two different things. So that's why we're not putting out consequences. No one ever watches those videos. Isn't that strange? But tons of people ask for them. That's the weird part. It's one of the most commonly asked for videos and one of the least watched. It's fascinating, isn't it? So anyway, that's why we don't do them. We only do what gets watched, because otherwise, what's the point? No point putting out what no one's looking at. Hello, Tulsa. Between Kelowna and Penticton? Oh, I wasn't so far off. I feel like I've been there, but I haven't been in the interior in BC since 1977, maybe. Yeah, probably 1977. Maybe 1978. My last year of high school was 1978, and we went up for some festival that happens in Penticton. So it was fun. Is that a peach festival? Is that what that's called? Can't remember. Okay. One of my highest performing videos lately, in that the comments were just lovely, was the one about the story about my parents, which tells you a lot about who I am and how I was raised. It's a really beautiful story. It involves an easy bake oven and me cooking a hockey puck, basically, but just how my parents treated me. And I sort of treated my kids the same way. Very different styles. My parents let me get away with a lot more. I wouldn't have done that. You can't help how you were raised, but they raised me with a lot of love. I had a lot of confidence and I had a voice. Like, I was very sure of myself. So that's a real gift that parents give children. And I would say my kids pretty much had that too. So I might tell more stories about my parents. I got a lot of stories about them. They were I was adopted. So I lucked out. Is it okay to let kids fight back, or should they just back down? No, they should go and report it to an adult. Now, I'm not stupid. I know that could cause more problems in the long run, so it's multifaceted. I don't know. I'd have to look into specifics. But I never teach a child to fight back unless it's truly in self-defense, warding off the hits, not going into hit. I'll tell you why. Not all bullies are cowards. A lot of bullies are very good, practiced fighters. So I never teach a child to fight back. They can defend themselves, but not fight back. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a difference there. But they really should go to an adult, especially if they're really little. It's easier to go to an adult without being killed in a dark alley later on, like in high school. It's difficult. Tattling is difficult when the older they get. Everything you've suggested, this is Katina. Yeah, it must be said like that. I can't think of any other way to say that. Help. Okay. Everything you've suggested helps me, although I need more work on staying silent. For now, I say that isn't going to get what you want. Crying doesn't get you what you want anymore. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It did get them what they want because you're engaging in it. That's what they wanted. You actually are giving them exactly what they wanted. They wanted attention. They wanted to upset you. They wanted to pull you in. So you actually are feeding it. You know that. It takes practice. How do I help my nearly 5-year-old with perfectionism and doing new things? It actually is not perfectionism. It's a fear of making a mistake. There's a difference. I would teach children it's better to try and do things and fail and not do well than to not do anything perfectly. You get the idea? Like, there's no shame in failing or not doing something great, but there's a lot of pride in trying. So, I certainly raised my kids that way. It's better to try and fail than never try and be perfect at it. right? So yeah, it's not perfectionism. It's a fear of failure. So it's an insecurity, basically. Work on their self-esteem. That's what leadership does. Leadership gives kids high self-esteem. Yeah, I do look like I have more shade, don't I? What the heck is going on? What is it? Well, could be this. Is that better? No, it's this. Yeah, what is that? Just a second. No, because if I put it in my eye, I'll be like under an investigation at the police station. Anyway, okay, never mind. Or did you mean shade like people hating me? No, because earlier I said I look like I'm darker. And my daughter and I were filming our podcast today. We had to get out extra lights because it just felt dark in here for some reason. Okay. So I'm skipping ahead to make sure you're still here while I answer your question. How do I teach my 3.5-year-old boundaries? Well, I don't know what you mean by boundaries. You'd have to explain that. What specifically do you not want them to do? Because boundaries can be anything. Okay, what do I do when my 3-year-old is having a tantrum, then cries out for me, I need a hug? That's not a love hug, by the way. That's a validate my tantrum hug. That's help me out here. I'm feeling really wobbly and insecure with this craziness I'm going through. Can you please validate and condone it? Yeah, they're asking for validation. That's not a love hug. That's a validate my tantrum hug. So yeah, you can hug them any other time. You can just go, you're all right. But if they're still having the tantrum and screaming that out, I would ignore it. But as soon as they're finished with the tantrum, I still don't hug them. They're still in that emotional, like, right? They've just calmed down a little bit. Wait till it's completely over. Then they won't want to hug usually. So it's not a love hug. It's a validate my tantrum hug. There's a difference between the two. You never validate a tantrum. I'm really glad my daughter's doing this with me, this podcast, because a lot of stuff's coming out just when we're doing it, going through it and talking. And, all the stuff I did, my kids knew I wallowed in them. I loved being with them. They were very full of themselves. They knew they were treasured. So I'm very confident with what I teach. Plus, I've done this with hundreds of other kids. It's not tough love. I don't call it that. I call it just making them accountable. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. I'm really good at focusing on the good kid. But I'd never validate the bad kid or the bad behavior. Never, 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 never. Everyone's doing that wrong. They're always validating all the bad behavior by talking about it, doing these mini therapy sessions, discussing all the bad behavior. The more energy you put into it, the more you're going to get it. It becomes part of their identity. I don't do that. Hey, that was bad. You're going to sweep the floor now. Hey, do you want to go to the park now? Like, you see, it's like, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now let's go have fun. It's over. It's over. Queensland, Australia. Thanks for your lives and guidance, Rebecca. I have a lot of clients in Australia right now. I raised my kids there. That's it's interesting because I've never raised kids in North America. I've only raised them in Australia. So all my baby terms and everything are very Australian. Anyway, yeah, my kids were 10 and 15 when we moved here. So I guess I kind of raised my younger one here more. Yeah, I loved Australia. I only moved back to Canada because my mom was elderly and ill. So, what should I do when my almost 5-year-old son is reprimanded for bad behavior and he goes into what we call turtle mode, where he gets on the floor and tucks himself into himself and covers his ears? There could be a few reasons for that, but we'll go with what most people would think is the obvious one, which is shame. It could also be a ploy to get your pity. So and there could be something else going on too. So I don't know. Let's go with shame, because you said reprimanded for bad behavior. I don't do that. Well, maybe you do what I do, but I don't use that word. I don't use the word order or command or reprimand. I use the word consequences. So you're teaching them how to be accountable. So they do something bad, say that was bad. So here's your consequence. And then it's over. So all they have to do is do a chore or something and it's forgotten. I don't discuss bad behavior. So yeah, I don't know why he's doing that. I would have to assess that. There could be many reasons why he's doing that. 3 come to mind. I only mentioned 2 because the other one's a bit more out there. And there's probably other reasons too. Okay, I'm trying to practice this, but my husband isn't on board. Will it still work out for me? Yes and no. Yes, if he just doesn't interfere. No, if he undermines you and says, no, we're not going to do that consequence. You see what I mean? So if he just doesn't do it, it can still work because you'll become the leader and they're not going to listen to him. They're going to listen to you. And they're also going to be drawn to you. The leader is the prized role. The leader is the one that everyone wants to be once they get it. Once they understand, the leader is actually the fun one, usually. The one that the kids go to. They tell everything to, right through the teen years. You're the safe place to land. You're the mentor. So it's not that they love you more, but you are the one that you're the guiding light. That's the leader. That's what the leader does for kids. I am definitely darker today. What the heck is going on here? Now that light's hitting me weird, but it's darker today. Figure it out. I didn't change anything. We were fooling around with lights. I know. That's better, I think. It's the dining room light I usually have on. I don't know. Anyway, still not great, but we'll see. Okay, Sydney, Australia. That's where my son was born. Actually, we lived in Marsfield, which is near North Ryde, Macquarie Centre. I remember when I first moved to Australia and driving on the left, I'll tell you. Anyway, but it was weird being a pedestrian because you're used to looking left then right, whereas in Australia, you got to look right then left. And then when I moved back to Canada, I had a hard time adjusting to the other way because after 20 years, I was so used to the other way. But I remember walking, I remember it was in Marsfield. I can remember exactly, I was walking to Epping or taking a bus to Epping or something. And I remember I was trying to cross a street and it was just like, I couldn't remember which way to look first. Boy, that threw me off. It was like my second or third day there. Oh, you got a runner. Okay, dangerous situation. This is Knoll Hill. You got a 2.5-year-old who's running. You put a harness on them before you go out and you say, if you run from me, if you don't listen to me, you're going to get clipped into this leash. Your choice. He won't understand that. But anyway, so you go out and you watch him like a hawk. As soon as he starts to run, clip and keep him clipped in for the rest of that outing. It's going to be a big storm, but there's always a rainbow at the end of the storm. All their fits, scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums are them learning a lesson. Don't interfere with that and don't try to avoid that. Everyone's trying to avoid the scenes. Those are the lessons. Go through it. If you're afraid of a tantrum, ooh, they've got you by the knackers. Don't be afraid of it. Whenever a kid had a fit around me, I was like, lesson learning. So yeah, just filing my nails, waiting for them to learn the lesson. So yeah, you put that leash on him, he'll drop to the ground and have a kicking fit, I'm guessing. Let him do that. So make sure, maybe it's clouds covering. No, there's no clouds, nothing. That's the weird part. It is bright out there. What the heck is going on? It is weird. It's definitely darker. We were filming today and my daughter sits sort of opposite with this podcast thing. And we noticed it today. So it's just a weird, well, if there's any clouds, they're not visible. What was I just saying? I can't remember. It was something to do with the runner. Oh yeah, I know. So you got a runner and I said you'd clip them in and keep them clipped in. If you're going to start doing this, practice going somewhere it doesn't matter. So don't practice if you're running to catch a plane type of thing. You don't want to do it then. Just make some pretend outings. Like we're going to go to the park now. And then he runs from you, clip. You don't care if you go to the park. Just let him scream it out. And then you might even just go home after that. If you don't have time, you can still go to the park. Once that tantrum's over, you can still go to the park. Okay, I started playing with my kids more and more, and then they want me to play more and more. Okay, so what you do, because I always say play is their love language, play with your kids, but it can be 5 minutes of hide and seek. Set a timer. Okay, we're going to play hide and seek. Set the timer, 5 minutes. You can do that twice a day, 5 minutes, twice a day. And then when that timer goes, they will get used to ding, fun's over, mom's got to go do something. right? Or dad's got to go do, you see what I mean? Set a precedent. Say, we're going to play hide and seek for 10 minutes. I'm going to play Lego with you for 30 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever. And then when it's done, all done, okay, we're going to go. So, or I'm going to go do something else now. They will eventually learn. You're kind of setting the rules because they don't know the rules, right? They don't understand it. You got to teach them this stuff. Kids work very well with, the light looks just fine. Yeah, it is definitely a bit weird. Maybe my eyesight's weird today. I don't know. No, my daughter noticed it too. So, and she's young. Okay, there you go. You already answered your own question, Chelsea. Chelsea Kramer. My 4-year-old can't seem to grasp the concept of no or don't, no matter how many times I say it. Well, because you're saying it. I say it once, then I take action. So if I say no and he keeps doing it, if I say stop doing that and he keeps doing it, I walk over, stop it. And then I say, okay, there's going to be a consequence. You're going to be doing such and such. I'll give you 15 minutes to sweep the floor or something. And use the behavior board for stuff like this. Okay, check it out. It's completely free. And then if he won't sweep the floor, you've given him 15 minutes to sweep the floor. If you just give him a 2-minute chore, but give him 15 minutes to do it. And you're not talking about it. Do not talk about it. Remember, you got to sweep the floor. You become part of the problem then. Just say, I got 15 minutes and then wait. You're just a timekeeper. 10 more minutes. 5 more minutes, and then beep, time's up. Okay, no TV for no screens for 24 hours. You always have 2 consequences for the kids. If they do something naughty, there's a positive action. If they won't do that, it's usually do a chore within 15 minutes of being asked to do so. It doesn't have to be right then, but when you're home and you can do it, right? If they won't do that, that's on them. I don't care if they do it or not. It means nothing to me. But what you do after that is you say, okay, you didn't do that. Now it's 24-hour media blackout. That's no screens for a whole day. No, I'll do it now. It's too late. They might even run and go and sweep the floor. So we didn't have to do that, but thanks. Okay, great. I get screens. No, it's 23 and a half hours of media blackout left. Once you've said it, it's happening. And a lot of kids will fight back. I did sweep the floor. You didn't do it in 15 minutes, but I did it. Well, that was your choice. They'll learn. That's not fair. Well, you're whatever. Don't get into art. Don't explain yourself. You've already explained it. Don't repeat it. They understand it. Did you grow up in Canada? Yeah, I grew up in Vancouver, born and raised in Vancouver. And then at 28, I moved to Australia. 9 months to the day after I arrived, I had my first child. So I don't know how to travel Australia. I only know how to raise kids in Australia. That's all I was doing over there. We never traveled around. I was pregnant and sick, and then just family after. We just having kids after that. So you are funny. Yes, I am funny, actually. I can be very funny. I remember once, I don't know why this struck. I still laugh at this. It was something I said to someone. I just think I'm hilarious. Anyway, some guy that I knew from work, or I knew him sort of around. It was years and years ago. And he offered me a ride. He saw me walking somewhere and he goes, oh, can I give you a lift? But I didn't really know him. He worked in the office next to mine or something. This is a long time ago. And I said, well, I don't really know. I said, I'm sorry, but I don't really know you. So for all I know, you could be a crazy serial killer. And then I said, I don't mind a sane one, but I just can't handle a crazy one. You know what he said to me? He goes, well, what difference does it make? I remember thinking that was so funny, and he didn't get it at all. Anyway, I just thought that I think I'm funny. Anyway, I still laugh. You know, certain things you still giggle at. Like, it's usually stuff I've said. That's not true. It's usually stuff I've seen that other people do. Okay. Nova Scotia, welcome. That is funny, though, isn't it? Like, why? You know, he just didn't get it. Okay, this I already answered this one, but I'll answer it again because it comes up constantly. When my toddler has a tantrum, he asks for a hug. Do you think I should ignore or give the hug? No, that is not a love hug. That is validate my scene, validate my meltdown, validate my tantrum. No, you ignore. You ignore the tantrum. Allow him to process that, get out of it. As soon as he's finished, I need a hug. Say, you're all right. Let's go read a book. Do not coddle after a tantrum, right after it, when he's coming down from it. Do not validate any of that scene at all. Now, if you feel I get into arguments with this all. Some of my clients are child psychologists. They'll argue this. but then they don't feel loved. Now, if you've got a toddler and you ignore a tantrum effectively, like I say you do not validate it with a hug. If you do that, and if you feel that you are destroying them emotionally in some way, you got bigger fish to fry. Believe me, kids knew I loved them, and they knew they were very treasured, but I would never, ever validate a tantrum. So if you feel you're damaging your toddler by not validating a tantrum, you got bigger problems. If your relationship is so fragile with them that is going to destroy them, yeah, you got other stuff to work on. Okay. I've done this with lots of kids. They know when they're cared for. They know what's going on. They get it. They just understand. I've done it with other people's kids, and that they get it. Yeah, Lisa's just ignoring this crazy stuff. But they also know I play hard. I'm very good at connecting with kids. So I play with them. Their love language is fun. And I hug them other times. I'm very affectionate with children, but I never, ever validate a tantrum. And hugging is part of it. They're just asking for your validation. Can you reward this? Isn't this good? Okay, I got to get going. I'm moving over to Instagram. If you want to follow me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I've got 2 of them now, toddlers and older kids. Or you can look into coaching. I'm onboarding some clients right now because I finished with a whole bunch of clients a couple weeks ago, or last week, I think. So, but I'm mixing up the ages. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'm on YouTube the whole time. And YouTube is actually the best place to watch me because it's a really small platform for me. It's only got like 15,000 followers on there, whereas I've got like 1.5 million on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So it can get really crazy here. But I usually see all the questions on YouTube. Doesn't mean I answer them because I mix them up. But anyway, okay, I'm heading over to Instagram. Bye now. Okay. Checking connection. Why was that? Oh, well. Okay. YouTube. Thanks. You're welcome. Okay, my 4-year-olds tend to hold. Okay, 4-year-old holds her breath many times during the day, and I can't figure out why. She's not sick or anything. I can't answer that because that could be a medical issue. But you look up. I can't tell you what it is. I've worked with kids who hold their breath, but I can't tell you what to do about it because it's an old wives' tale. It's very fast and it works. Most grandmothers would do it. I'm a grandmother. But yeah, look up old wives' tales, what to do when they're breath holding, and also check with your doctor if you're worried. I can't answer. I don't know if it's a medical issue. Could be asthma or something. I've got asthma, and with asthma, exhaling is the hard part. You can inhale, you just can't exhale. It's interesting, isn't it? I remember when I first heard about asthma, I didn't have it when I was young. And I thought, oh, you just can't breathe in. And it's no, you can't breathe out. So maybe that's it too. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but that's what I noticed with asthma. Splash water in the face is what I heard. Yeah, that's not what I do because you can do this, what I do anywhere. But yeah, I can't recommend that because I'm not a doctor. I can't recommend what I do either because I'm not a doctor. Prince George and 14-month-old enough to bite course. No, 16 months is when it starts. You can get it. You can try it. But yeah, it's usually 16 months as a toddler, 16 to 35 months as a toddler. But you can try it. It's kind of a gray area. It might work. Anyway, Instagram. Welcome to my live. It's been really slow today. Like just there's, the numbers that are turning up and everything in my business has been really calm today. So we got a lot of work done behind the scenes, which is good. Plus I didn't book a lot of clients today because I knew we were doing stuff. So anyway, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, check out the link above. And my name is Lisa, I'm a parenting coach. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, one for toddlers, one for older kids. And you can look into coaching. What was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, I've got a wait list, but I'm onboarding a bunch of clients right now. I mix up the ages though. So it's not first come, first serve. It's the age I'm looking for. Because I'll tell you, if I get teen crisis work, I remember once a while ago, I booked out like 6 or 7 sessions in one day, and they were all difficult teen situations. I have to really put on my thinking cap sometimes. I remember that day. Oh, so that's why I'm very careful. I mix up my clients, because I specialize in troubled teens, in crisis work with teenagers. So that's why I get so many of those. By the way, this is just an offshoot, but there's a lot of people in this industry, and I don't know one single other person who teaches parenting. I stay in my own lane. But one thing I do know is I would never take parenting advice from someone who does not have this 2 criteria. I know for a fact you need these 2 to really understand what you're talking about. Number 1 is you have to have finished the job. Have you lived with teenagers? Are your kids adults now? Have you finished the job? Do you even know where you're headed? Like, you know what I mean? You have to finish the job. If you're taking parenting advice from someone who hasn't, it's like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. It doesn't make any sense. Nothing else is like parenting. A lot of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. They often hire me because they have, especially when they got teenagers. You need experience with that. Anyway, number 2 is they have to have worked with hundreds of kids, because I got respect when my kids were tiny, and I didn't learn much after that. It was just sailing right through. It was just maintaining the respect, mutual respect. But yeah, I've worked with hundreds of teenagers, toddlers, everything in between. And but yeah, look for those 2 criteria, because this is serious business. This is your family. These are your children. You make sure that advice you're taking is from someone who is qualified. And it's not about degrees. It's about experience. Because a lot of my clients have degrees, and they struggle with parenting because it's personal. It's personal. You have to experience it to teach it. It's not like brain surgery. You don't have to have a tumor to know how to operate. This is emotional. It's personal. It's a relationship like nothing else. Just frustrates me when people get such bad advice. Drives me nuts, because that's a big responsibility, advising people how to raise their children. So anyway, okay. Do you believe in timeouts aren't efficient? That timeouts aren't efficient, and why? Yeah, I hate timeout. The reason I hate them is I think they're humiliating. And if you say to a child, you go sit in the corner and you think about what you did, they're sitting there feeling like garbage. So think about this. If you made a mistake at work and your boss said, you're 36 years old, you go sit in the corner, face the wall for 36 minutes, and you think about what you did. That kind of backfired on me when one live, because someone said, I'm 36. I would love a 36-minute break. So that kind of backfired. But generally, you get the idea. It's just mean. I think it's mean. I would rather say, hey, that was bad. Here's your consequence, or take a toy away. And then you go back to treating them like they're good again. You don't send them off somewhere. I think it's mean. It's humiliating. You look at that kid sitting in a corner. See, I work on self-esteem. What's their self-esteem like? How do they feel about themselves when they're sitting there? I would rather them be mad at me when I hand out a consequence. There's a big difference between the 2. There's no shame in that. There's anger. They're allowed to be angry that I handed out a consequence. I don't have a problem with that at all. But I have a real problem with sending a kid in a corner and making them feel like garbage. It really bothers me. I can't stand timeout. Not that I'm opinionated. Oh, that's why I'm teaching this. I'm passionate about what I teach. I really believe in it. Okay, you talk about the fork in the road at 3. What if you haven't done enough to have their respect and they try to take control? How do you walk this back? You don't walk it back. You just start from now, and you just teach them that, hey, I know what I'm doing. Check out my behavior board, or look at the boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, and that's just more extensive. The behavior board is just the training wheels with this stuff, but you get the idea. It's you have rules and consequences, and you just follow through. You start small. You're only dealing with 1 behavior per week. Start small. If you get the course, week 4 is what everyone wants. Week 4 is you get rid of the behavior boards. You can still use them, but that's not the focus. The behavior boards are just teaching tools for you, because we're not fixing kids, we're fixing parents here. So the behavior boards are for you to learn how to do this stuff. So, but week 4 in the course is when you do in the moment discipline. You start addressing everything because you already kind of know how to do this. So, I forgot what you asked me even. I usually try and wrap it up, but I forgot what you asked me. Oh, 3 years old. Yeah, it's not too late. Most people start at 3. That's why I've got the toddler course is a standalone course, and it's very different. The 3 to 12-year-old course is a 5-week course. It's all paced out, and there's things to do each week. It's all paced out. The toddler one isn't. The toddler one is like this. Oh, they did that. Let me look that up. It's not a book, but you get the idea. Let me look that up and see what to do about that. So it's more reference material. It is leadership, but you don't know what they're going to do. Every toddler does quite different things. So I've listed all the common stuff that you guys asked me to talk about. So what's in that toddler course is what you told me you wanted. Actually, it was on Instagram we did that. Oh, and thanks so much for the questions. We got hundreds of questions that people want answered in the podcast, and we're looking at them all. So a lot of them are duplicates, but we are looking at all those questions. And we have our podcasts are going to be theme based. So like the first one is, what is leadership parenting? Then we've got another one on tantrums, and another one on teenagers and stuff like that. So potty training might be another one. But yeah, it's all stuff you've asked us about. Okay, purchased your bedtime battles yesterday and it already works. Wonders for my 2-year-old. Thank you so much. I don't know why, but that bedtime battles that I teach, I have a course on it, 2 to 8 years old. It's also included in my, the toddler course has it because it has all the mini courses in it as a bonus, but also it's in my 3 to 12-year-old. That is by far the most successful of all the methods I teach. It's bedtime battles. There's no gray area in it. It's black and white, and it's something they need to do anyway. They need to sleep. You're meeting a need. Managing their wants is harder. That's what a lot of this is about, managing what they want. But this is meeting their needs. You meet their needs and manage their wants. So, and bedtime battles by far is the most successful thing of everything I teach. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I kind of think I know why, but I'm not 100% sure why it's so successful. It's usually one night of hell, though. What about 4? Are they set in stone for bad behavior? No, I specialize in teenagers. So yeah, not at all. When I say there's a fork in the road, they have picked one road, but you can gear them back. You can move them over. You can do construction work on that road and move them over. It's not like that's the path for the rest of their lives. It's just their path for now. All you have to do is pave that one over, move them over here, set up some cones. You see, redirect them. So yeah, it's fixable. 3, 4. Oh my goodness. That's easy stuff. That's easy. Wait till they're 14, 15. It gets harder. Teenagers are my favorite age. I specialize in teenagers. The more challenging, the better for me, for my business, because it makes me, I have to really think. Because you have to be careful, especially if you're dealing with a depressed teenager. Oh, I'm walking on eggshells, I'll tell you, but I love it. I love it. I think because not many people do it either. So there's not a lot of places to turn for that. Do you know what's interesting is I'm hired by a lot of teachers, principals, child psychologists, people with child development degrees and beyond. But I've never been hired by a youth worker, not that I know of. Youth workers specialize in troubled teens. If you can get the respect of a troubled teenager, you don't need my help. Yeah, they're the PhD in all this. Yeah, if you can get respect with a troubled teenager, you don't need my help. So I've never been hired by a youth worker. They specialize in troubled teens. And also, most youth workers don't go into it unless they have a gift for it, because it is a tricky one. So I was kind of born. I kind of figured this out on my own. I kind of think I was kind of born to do this because I was volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11. So I was always kind of good at connecting with and getting good behavior out of kids. I just kind of figured it out. But youth workers, I think they're kind of the same. Yeah, I think they kind of got that same thing. Would you recommend the constant corrective action with a 3-year-old who has impulse control issues? I know what you're asking, but no. I would use the behavior board. You're teaching them how to curtail their impulse controls, how to correct them. So yeah, no. They're developed enough, that frontal lobe stuff, which is where their impulse control is. They stop there. It means they're able to stop and think before they act. Doesn't mean they're doing it, but it's your job to kind of teach them to do that. And that's what the behavior board's all about. Make it big, make it visual. It's a constant reminder that, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should stop and think before I act. So I do timeout rarely. It's better than whooping. Yeah, I agree with that. You must be from the South, the whooping. But it still hurts my heart to do so. Explain what they did. They're not going to be quiet in timeout at all, so don't do the timeout. Doesn't start. I don't quite know what you mean. Explain what they did. I don't explain myself. They already know. I just say that was bad. It's very rare that a child doesn't know when he does something bad from the age of about 2. It's very rare. You're kind of teaching them right from wrong, but by 2, I live downtown. It's rush hour. By 2.5, they usually know right from wrong. So I just say, no, that was bad or whatever. And then there's a consequence. So right away, take a toy away, remove them from the fun or whatever. But I don't explain things very. Everyone's over explaining everything all the time, doing these mini therapy sessions. It's for you. It's not for the child. It's not for the toddler. Any kid doesn't want to go on and on about it. All they want to hear is that was bad. What's my medicine? And then can we just move on? Like that. So I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer questions. Oh, I don't let anybody in my video in my lives. I only did it once a couple of years ago. Big disaster. They wanted my audience to sell stuff too. And I didn't know what I was doing yet. I was brand new and I couldn't get rid of them. It was awful. Oh, do you think the behavior board will be effective if co-parent refuses to use it at his house? Absolutely. The leader trumps anybody else. When you get good at this leadership stuff, they're under your umbrella. You know why? Because leadership works on their self-esteem and their pride. You're the source of that. So they're going to look to you. They're going to become more like, I call it the leadership umbrella. Once they're usually 3.5 to 4, if you've been doing this really well, they carry that leadership umbrella everywhere they go. So that's the one that they are most formed by, because you're the one who hit them in the self-esteem and the pride, and they feel great about themselves when they're with you. So therefore, they become that person that they are with you. So they might go to the other house and be rotten over there because the parent just, sort of instills that. But basically, you get the idea. The leader trumps everybody else. The leader trumps the authority and the pleaser parent. The leader is the one that makes them feel the best about themselves. They're not just well-behaved and respectful. You give them pride. Their self-esteem is up there. So think about, if someone makes you feel good about yourself, don't you kind of want to be around them more than anybody else? And that's what the leader does. The leader makes kids feel good about themselves. If you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. Every so often, I'll get an email or something from someone who says, I bought your course and it's not working at all. Nothing's working. And it could just be a mini course or something. So I'll ask a couple of questions because I don't quite know what's going on there because I've been doing this for so many years. I know it works. There's usually something else going on. So then I have to dig a little bit and sometimes they'll hire me for coaching and we'll dig around. You can be doing something that you don't even think about that is wrecking everything. It could be yelling and not being accountable for it. It could be being inconsistent on a consistent basis. But sometimes it's just something that you wouldn't even have thought of. It was something recent. I can't say what it was because it's too recent and personal. But this parent said, nothing's working. I'm sick of this. I want my money back. So I gave them their money back. And then I asked them a few questions. And what did we do? How did we do that? I think they might have been I think they actually I ended up coaching them, I think. And I can't remember now. But anyway, but yeah, it was just this one little thing that they were doing that just tanked everything else. And it was something they would never, ever have thought of. And as soon as they said it, I went, oh, that's it. That's it. Yeah, I wish I could tell you what it was because I remember. But anyway, so it's sometimes just something little. I can't tell you what it is, darn it. Yeah, so if you're just doing one thing right and it's still not working, you have to kind of look at other stuff too to figure out what's interfering in that. It's a big picture thing. You can't just do one thing right. But when you're working on that behavior board, you're just focused on one bad behavior, but you got to get everything you're doing right with it. Okay. And then you focus on another bad behavior the next week. And then you master that behavior board. When I'm coaching too, I say to parents, I say, you're going to mess up. Everyone does. So I say, but you're working with me. So we're going to use your mistakes to our advantage. So what I mean by that is if they mess up and they go overboard, that's it. 3 days of no screens or something. They do something like that. They have to go back after the next session. They'll tell me this. And I'll say, okay, you have to go back to the kids and you have to own that and say, now I'm going to buy you a brand new game or something for that because I messed up. You see, you're teaching them it's okay to make mistakes so long as you make amends for them and be accountable for them. So there's nothing wrong with you making mistakes, but there's something wrong if you're not accountable for them. So stuff like that, kids pick up on this stuff. Why should I be accountable if you're not? But they don't know how to express that. but they're not listening to you, they're watching you. So make sure you're on your game. Okay. Do you think your methods will work when grandparents, us, have custody and they visit mom and she does opposite and we are the bad guys? 3 and 4. 3 girls, 4, 2, and 1. Do you recommend coaching instead of videos? Video. Well, I don't want to recommend coaching, but not necessarily, no. Maybe. I don't know what she's doing, but they're going to follow the leader. And if you've got custody, I'm assuming you have them the majority of the time, probably 12 out of 14 days you have them. Maybe she has them one night, that kind of thing. If you have custody, when you get good at leading, they will follow you. So you might just need the course. But if there's a bunch of other stuff going on and she's really railroading the kids in certain ways, that would be coaching. But even then, you can't worry about what other people do with your kids, or you know what I mean? You can only deal with what you're doing. I don't teach grandparenting, but I do teach anyone who has custody, which is parenting, right? So you're the grandparents parenting. Good for you. I mean, I'm a grandmother now. I mean, I would do it if I had to all over again, but geez, I don't have the same energy. I do, but it's different energy. It's just, I'm still goofy, so maybe I could do it. I'm still very toddler-like in a lot of ways. But yeah. To be honest, that's probably more coaching. It sounds like there's more involved in that. Also, the kids are going to be very confused by why their mom's doing what she's doing. So the conversations that you have with kids throughout the years, I would want to coach you on what to say throughout the years, how to manage that, because it's stuff that comes up in coaching. Anyway, okay. What if the 3-year-old tantrums last very long? 30 minutes. Oh gosh, that's not that long. Or so. Do you still wait without interruption? 30 minutes is a long time. It means it must work. It means you must give in eventually, because for them to go that long, I would still be filing my nails, but if they keep going, I might kind of look like this. Okay, so you're filing your nails or whatever you're doing. Make it look like, don't look on your phone. That's dismissive and rude. And don't have a conversation with someone. That's dismissive and rude. You want to look like you're waiting. They're having a tantrum, but you're just waiting for it to be over with. So you're like this. You might look down every so often, but like this. Like, oh, still going, eh? No anger, no disappointment, just waiting. And then if they keep going on, I might go, oh, I should go do those dishes now. And then wander off, look distracted. There's a way of doing it. You got to be careful. You got to be a good actor with this stuff. So, oh, I forgot to do the dishes, and then wander off and do the dishes after about maybe 5-10 minutes. And they'll get up and follow you. And then just do the dishes. I've seen it all. Okay, you got a 4-year-old who's peeing and pooping on purpose when he's angry after a consequence. You'd have to hire me for that one. That's next level stuff. He's 4 and he's doing that. That's next level. That would be coaching. How do you deal with a kiddo who does not care about consequences? Well, I've never experienced that before. So there's always something. We invent leverage. That's what we do. So let's say they do something naughty and you're really... I don't want to give you any ideas because I don't know the age of the kid or what he's done, but it goes something like this. Let's say you've got a 6-year-old and he's just been rotten all day, doesn't give a hoot about any consequences. I would say after dinner, I'd say, I'll tell you what, we were going to surprise you and go out for ice cream tonight. We didn't have a very good day though. And then I'd mention maybe 2 things he did wrong. Remember you hit me earlier and then you did that. No anger, you just like discussion. We did that. So I'll tell you what, we're not going to go out for ice cream tonight. But too bad, maybe another night. Don't promise it for the next night though, because you don't want to use bribery. So say, can we go tomorrow if I'm good? Say, I don't know. It was going to be a surprise. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow night. So don't use it as bribery, but use it as inventing leverage. You were never going to go out for ice cream, but just tell them you were, and now you pulled it out from under them. There's always something. Oh, we were going to go karting tonight. Oh, well, I guess we won't now. Like that. I hate doing it, but if that's all you've got, I have never not been able to find leverage. So yeah, sometimes we have to invent it. How do you stop a 2.5-year-old from hitting? Check out my toddlers who hit, bite, etc. course. It's kind of a method involved in that. So yeah, just check that out. It's one of my mini courses. Someone said, you're answering someone else. You said, yeah, or teach them emotional regulation when they are calm already. Emotional regulation. Yeah, I don't use that. They teach themselves emotional regulation. You cannot teach someone else emotional regulation. It's impossible. So your calmness, your leadership, organically, they learn on their own. They learn emotional regulation by watching you. And under your leadership, they learn it. You cannot teach someone how to regulate their emotions. I know it's trending, but geez, Lou, who's teaching this stuff? God. I don't know anybody else out there. One of my clients said, "Oh, have you ever heard of?" And it was some big name, evidently. And I said, "No." And they were absolutely stunned. How can I be in the parenting world and not know who this person is? Well, I stay away from that. If a video pops up on any of my feeds and it's about parenting, woo, la 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 la, I look away. The reason is, if I'm insulting anything, I'm not insulting anybody, right? Because that would just be kind of dirty. I don't like that. But yeah, if I'm insulting something, I'm never insulting someone. And the only reason I know what's out there is clients tell me what they've taught, because oftentimes they've hired other coaches and that didn't work out. And then they'll hire me and then they'll tell me what's happened. But to each his own. If it's working for you, do it. But also make sure, I've said this before, I think I said this in my Facebook Live right before this. There's 2 criteria. If you're going to look for parenting advice, I would never hire someone without these 2 qualifications. I don't care about degrees. This is all experience-based stuff because it's personal. You can't learn this in a degree. It's personal. Anyway, has the person finished the job? In other words, have they lived with their own teenagers? Do they really understand what it's like to raise young adults? They have to have finished the job. Otherwise, it's like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. It doesn't make any sense. You have to have lived with teenagers into adulthood. You have to know what you're doing. Number 2 is they have to have had experience with hundreds of other kids. So they've seen everything. I didn't learn much with my own kids. I learned it all before I had them. And also, I got respect when they were tiny, so I sailed right through the teen years. I couldn't teach that. I teach all the stuff I worked with, all those troubled teens and all that. That's what I teach. How to get respect, not how to maintain it. I just maintained it. I teach you how to get it. But yeah, it's frustrating for me when people out there are teaching and they only have little kids. It doesn't make any sense. How can you teach it? How do you know if what you're doing today, it might be working? How do you know if that's going to backfire in the teen years? A whole bunch of trendy stuff that's happening right now, it backfires big time. 9 to 12 years old, tween years, it'll backfire. It's frustrating for me because I have to fix that stuff. I honestly would rather lose business and not have to fix it. I'd rather you not go through that. Anyway. Oh, someone said something I didn't like. Just a sec here. Always point out good behaviors and praise. No, my baseline is good behavior. If you point out, oh, you were so good. Well, what was I like yesterday? It's like saying to your spouse, you were good today. Well, what the heck was I like yesterday? Praise is insinuating that they're naughty, that they're bad kids. The more you praise isn't a bad thing, but if you overdo that, if you praise their good behavior, I used to tell my kids they were wonderful and great and treasured, but I never praised good behavior. That's my baseline. If you praise good behavior, it's like saying they're normally rotten. Parents tend to overpraise and underplay. You don't ignore bad behavior either. Anyway, and tantrum is not bad behavior, by the way. It's a loss of emotional control at not getting what they want. It's not bad behavior. You don't ever discipline a tantrum because it's not bad behavior. Let's say you got a 5-year-old. I'm going to talk about praise for a second here because it's so overused. Let's say you got a 5-year-old little boy and you say to that little boy, you're wonderful, you're special, I love you. You're just the best thing in the whole world. You can do anything you want. Okay, I'm going to go read a book now. Look at his face. What did that do for him? Not much. Take that same little boy and you say, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Look at his face. What did that do to him? Praise versus play. What's his love language? Is it praise? You think it is. It's not. You're wrong. It's fun. It's play. Play with them. That's what builds them up. That's what makes them feel good. Spend time with them. Have fun with them. It was interesting. I worked with a lot of troubled teenagers. One of them said to me once something, I didn't see it coming. He said, I said, well, what turned you around? He was in a lot of trouble. And I said, well, what turned you around? Because after I'd worked with him for a while. And he says, it's the fact that you liked me. And I thought, what an interesting thing to say. What turned him around was the fact that I liked him. I enjoyed his company. I found a way to enjoy his company. I had to work at it, but I found a way to enjoy his company. What an interesting thing to say. He says that's what made me start to straighten out, was the fact that you liked me. You weren't pretending. I could see it. You liked me. I said, yeah, you're a pain in the butt, but yeah, I liked you. So play with them. Don't just say it. I like you. And they don't care. I actually spent time enjoying this kid, learning how to bond with him. You see, it's the fun, the humor, the play. That's the love language. It's not just saying they're great. They don't care about that. They know it's crap. I mean, what I mean is it's just empty words. They don't care. They'd rather you spend time with them. So praise is overrated. It's okay to do, but don't do it instead of play. That's the problem, is people tend to overpraise and underplay. What's your view on spanking? Yeah, spanking is like yelling. It works in the moment, but it backfires down the road. There's alternative ways, like, no, I don't recommend it. Most of my clients do yell. It's very rare that I get a client who doesn't yell, because it works in the moment, but it backfires down the road. It's one of those. Yeah, it's a fear-based parenting method. And it's almost, well, fear-based in that you're putting the fear into them, but it's also that you're afraid of them. That's why you do it. It's a loss of your control. Yeah. My daughter, we were filming a podcast today, and she said, and I said, do you even remember me disciplining you? Because they were just sort of, I got respect when they were little, so I didn't have to discipline them. And she goes, no, Mom, you just had the look. All I had to do was go like that, and that was enough. She goes, like, they couldn't handle my disappointment, so I hardly ever used it, because I never was disappointed. They were easy kids. But I worked for that. I earned that. You got to work for this stuff. Okay, I got to go. I got to go over to TikTok. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddlers and older kids, and you can look into coaching. I have to go over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Take care. I don't know what's going on today, but it's been slow in every way in my business. The emails, everything, the lives, smaller numbers. What's going on today in the world? What's going on? Every so often that'll happen. Maybe once every few months, it'll just be a slow day all around. And you can't figure out why. Even Christmas was busier than today. I got more emails on Christmas Day than I did today. Isn't that interesting? Today's just been weird. I even looked into, is there something wrong with my email? No, it's just slow day. Not complaining. It's been good. I got lots of other stuff done. Okay. Okay. Can I start the behavior board and bedtime battles the same day with my 5-year-old and 3-year-old? Oh, it's too overwhelming. Yeah. Just do bedtime battles on its own. When I'm coaching people, we'll sometimes do that. But that's because I'm with you. But if you're doing it on your own, no, just do bedtime battles and then do a behavior board after that. Okay. Welcome to my TikTok live. Am I on the right channel? This is the parenting one, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I have a different picture for my personal one. I'm pretty sure this is the parenting one. Anyway, if it isn't, you'll tell me soon enough. Anyway, oh, good. Okay, thanks, Amber. Okay, so my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go in the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddlers and older kids, or you can look into coaching. So let's get going with your questions. I do try and mix it up because I'm really not about discipline. That's a tiny part of what I teach. I teach connection, but when I'm doing a live, it seems to be mostly questions about discipline. So that's why so much of these lives just seems to be discipline, but it's not what I'm all about at all. Discipline is like, yeah, deal with it and then focus on the rest. Focus on connecting and bonding. Okay. So I'm just looking at my notes here. These are, I didn't write that. I had it written down and then I couldn't find it. So someone helped me out yesterday. It's the 3 really common discipline. The 3, God, I'm going to giggles now. I can feel it. Okay, sorry. I'm a giggler. Discipline. Oh God, I'm gonna get the giggles. Okay, calm down, Lisa. I giggle really easily. Okay. In my personal life, I'm a lunatic, but in my business, I try and act like I'm serious. I can't even say. I can't do it now. Oh God, that was fun. Okay, it wasn't that funny. It just struck me as funny. Okay, stop it, Lisa. Okay. Hello, Lisa from Seattle. Any advice on how to stop yelling? I feel so ashamed. Don't be ashamed. All my clients yell. It's so rare that I get a client who doesn't yell, that when we're doing the behavior board and I'm typing away all my notes, and I always say, so because their rule is usually no yelling in the first week. So I go, okay, do you yell? And I'm typing no yelling when I'm asked. And sometimes they'll go, no. It's that rare that I go like this. Okay, let me think. It's that rare that I get a client that doesn't yell. So don't be ashamed. Most of my clients are highly educated. A lot of them are principals, teachers, child psychologists. They all yell. Most of them yell. They don't necessarily yell in their jobs, but parenting is like none of that. I couldn't do their jobs. They struggle with parenting. Parenting is different from any other relationship you'll ever see. You cannot learn this you cannot get a degree to learn this. You have to go through it. You have to live it. You have to live with teenagers and young adults. You have to live it to really know it. And, but yeah, most parents yell. I never yelled. I was never yelled at. But that's why I teach this, because I was raised by a leader. My mom was a leader. I'm a leader. My mom took a lot more than I did, but I still really cared what she thought. She didn't look disappointed enough, though. I did. If my kids acted out, I didn't like that. And they go, oh, sorry, Mom. Whereas my mom didn't do that enough. But when she did, I just died because I idolized my mother. I looked up to her. So yeah, that's why I didn't yell, because she didn't. So, but most parents yell. Don't be ashamed of it. You do it because it works in the moment, but you know it backfires down the road. I can teach you what else to do. But yeah, it's that rare. Oh, no, I don't yell. Just give me a minute. It throws me off. And then I'll say, well, you yell to the other parent. No, neither of us yell. Oh, I only had one or two maybe clients this year that I can think of that neither of them yelled. Like, wow, I really struggled with that. Threw me right off. It's very rarely that I don't know what to say, but it threw me right off. So don't be ashamed. Good. It was cute. The other day I had a client and she goes, I never feel judged by you. I feel like you're my friend. Aw. Most of them say I feel like you're my mother, but because I mother all my clients. Or I think I do, but she thought we were friends. And that's sweet. She's adorable. All my clients are so cute. You're all so young now. God, you guys are getting so young. I'm in my 60s now, you guys. So it's not, maybe it's just because I'm getting old. There you go. Okay. I did the ignore technique you advised. I looked like I was fixing my nails. One, because you're like ignoring filing your nails. So you do air filing. If they're down to the nubs and you're just filing skin, just do like air guitar, just do air filing. So, or do whatever, I would just look at the trees. If we were at the park, I'd just look out at the trees and the birds and, look like I'm just waiting. You can even look at your watch and go like that. Like you're just waiting. It's important that they know that, they're having a tantrum and they know you're just waiting for it to stop. So you are kind of, it's kind of subtle, but if you were just to be reading a book, it wouldn't work. They're more likely to hit you. Because they're like, you're not even, but if they know they're doing it, they're less likely to hit you. So if they do hit you, I just push them away and don't even look at them. I just hold them away from me and don't look at them. Someone said, is that considered speech delay? Well, I thought you meant when I don't know what to say when someone says they don't yell. Okay, my 2-year-old understands very well, but she's not really talking yet. Just says, okay. No, I don't want to comment on that because I'm not a doctor or a speech pathologist, but I do know some kids. I knew one in particular that she didn't talk or walk till she was 3. Then her mother always told the story that when she did turn 3, she got up and ran and never shut up. So she was just saving it up. Some of them just aren't in a rush to talk. My son has a little baby girl. She's completely normal on the spectrum with chattering and all that, I'm sure. But her father, my son, I swear he came out of the womb talking. He just never shut up. He talked a lot. And his little daughter is probably more normal. So she's 8 months old. She's just starting to find her voice, but he just was really, really chatty. So Yeah. And his sister wasn't so much. They're all different is what I'm saying. Lisa, are your courses personalized? Do we get to chat with you direct? Oh, no, I'm coaching all day coaching. So no, I'm not available. Those courses do not include my personal time because I couldn't do that. So, no, if you want my personal time, that would be coaching. And no one else, I couldn't hire someone to answer your questions because no one else knows how to answer them. Like there's no course on what I do. This is just me. It's all stuff I've learned. I invented all this stuff. I invented leadership parenting, the behavior board with the parents on it. It's all stuff that I invented. So yeah, no one else could even do that. I couldn't hire someone to support those courses. But you can ask questions if there's a confusion about the course, but I don't give additional like outside of the course information because that would be coaching. What is a common mistake you see parents making when out in public? Oh, of course, you know what this is. They don't want to discipline because they're embarrassed. So they're different parents when they're out in public. I was the exact same mother no matter where we were. So my kids knew. But yeah, it's the inconsistency for sure. They're too embarrassed. And yeah, I won't go on about it, but I see it all the time. You got a 21-year-old who is whining regularly. I've been mail filing. How to deal with meltdowns at the grocery store. I actually have a whole section on grocery shopping with a toddler. Basically, you never let them out of the shopping cart, so they don't even know there's an option. My kids sat in that little child seat till they were 16 years old. That's not true. They were really easy kids. I often let them walk beside it. But if they weren't really easy kids, like they were, they knew they were with me, so they wouldn't have challenged me. But they basically sat in that seat. Also, never let them help you with groceries. Think about it. Think about it. If you allow them to put paper towels in the back, and here you go, and they put that in the back, are they going to have a tantrum when you have a pickle jar that you won't let them throw in the back? You see, it's inconsistent. They don't understand that a pickle jar might break open. The eggs might break open, but that paper towel. So what you do is you have a goodie bag that's only for grocery shopping. I called it the shopping goodie bag. And it was this little goodie bag that sat, it was perfectly, it was very tall and rectangular, and it opened like this at the top, like an old fashioned, one of those kind of, anyway. So it would sit in their lap in the grocery cart, in the shopping cart. And every single day I'd throw a bunch of different things in there. So they'd have like a sippy cup with something in there, little snack, something to draw on maybe. And then they had like little toys in there, but it was just like cheap dollar store toys. And I had a big basket on top of the fridge or something. I can't remember where. Anyway, I'd just grab stuff and throw it. Every time we went out, it was something different in there. So it was a goodie bag, something to do. I mean, they're bored out of their minds just sitting there. Plus, like I said, parents often set them up for failure by letting them help put the paper towels in the back. A 2-year-old does not understand why they can't throw the eggs in the back. So don't let them help ever, and never let them out, because if you don't want them out all the time, then they don't understand inconsistencies. They go in the cart, here's your goodie bag, and you're not helping. And they've got that goodie bag. You're giving them something else to do. Meet their needs. Their needs are they don't want to be bored for the next half hour. Here again, good point. What about allowing toddlers to help with cooking and cleaning? Unless you don't want them to help all the time. Like what I mean is, once you allow them to help once, you allow them to help all the time. They don't understand, no, today is not a good day. You see what I'm saying? So if you want them to help with cooking, every single time, you should have their own little cooking set at the table and give them some dough or some pasta or something to play with, and they can cook. So they can do that every single time. But that's on you. If you want them to help you cook, God, I hated cooking, so there's no way I wanted kids helping me. But I would have them at the kitchen table with Play-Doh or something. They were pretending cooking there. So, but yeah, it's the inconsistencies that throws them off. They don't care if they help you cook. But if you let them do it once, they don't understand why they can't do it. You see, it's inconsistent. So yeah. When to move them to a bed. There's no set time. Some of my clients have kids that are 3 in a crib. And I even have one that has a 4-year-old in the crib still. Just never tried to get out. They're just comfortable in there. I think they're probably outgrowing it. Their legs are probably hanging out. Anyway, I did it with my kids. They were very little. when I did it. But what happened was, it was when they flopped out onto the floor. That was it. I dismantled the crib that day, and I just put the mattress on the floor with pillows around it. And then I just taught them to stay in bed. So there's a whole, that's bedtime battles, how you teach them how to stay in bed. My husband and I repeat ourselves, and since watching, we now ask once, then take action. Boy, did we mess up. LOL. Yeah, what you do is when you realize you messed up, go, boy, we messed up, laugh it off, and then just move forward. Don't go down the guilt trail worrying about what you did wrong yesterday. You did the best you knew how, right? But yeah, no, everyone does the best they know how. Not the best they can, but the best they know how. It's like whenever someone says, well, I can't parent well because my parents were dysfunctional. And I say, they did the best that they knew how. Right? No one is handed a baby in the hospital and says, I'm going to mess you up. Everyone does the best they know how. So yeah, just laugh it off. We all do dumb stuff. Oh, some of the dumb stuff I've done in my life. Parenting came easy to me, but I've done a lot of other dumb stuff. We all do dumb stuff. It's just because we didn't know. Do you think ADHD is worse if there's bad parenting? It's like, no, ADHD is not, has nothing to do with that. Anything's worse if there's bad parenting, unless you've got a super easy, chill child. But even then, they still need guidance. My daughter was born very easy. She was a very cautious little girl. She never, to this day, she's, you know how I don't have a filter. I just say whatever's in my head. Thank God I'm not a serial killer. I'd give myself away like that. There's nothing evil in there. Not that I know of anyway. But yeah, she thinks before she says stuff. I don't have that in me at all. She was the easiest little kid in the world. Like, she just was very cautious, never wanted to get into trouble. Just, easy little kid. But I pushed her to try stuff and to find her voice. So she's a very confident young woman now. She's my partner in my business, actually. She drives me in the business. She's very driven, and she's behind the scenes. So now she's doing the podcast with me. But even though she was the easiest kid in the world, I worked really hard to bring out her confidence and her voice. And believe me, she has both. So, yeah. Okay, how did you become so knowledgeable about toddlers? I'm learning every day. Yeah, I don't know why, but I started volunteering when I was 11 years old in daycare centers. I was always mothering. I was fascinated with mothering, but really, I was very good at watching kids and knowing what they were thinking. I remember this. I was 11 years old, and I remember I was volunteering in this daycare center, and I remember looking at the kids, and I just would look at them. I knew exactly what they were thinking. So I think I kind of always had some intuition with kids. And then I was in my 30s, and I started volunteering with delinquent teenagers. I didn't have a clue what they were thinking, so I had to figure it out. And then I ended up specializing in teen crisis work. They became my favorite age. I just had a real interest in it, and I've been doing this now. I've been working with kids, studying them for 52 years now. So I get it. I just get them. I understand them. I can literally remember pretty much at every age. I can go back in my memory and remember what I was thinking. I can remember what it felt like to be those ages. Isn't that weird? But you ask me, anyone I worked with, probably in the 80s, probably don't remember any of them. Those are adults. I don't care as much about them. It's kids. I'm fascinated by kids because we were all kids. That's how we form. If you can understand kids at every age, you probably know why you are the way you are. I'm very self-aware. Believe me, I know all my good points and my bad points. I was always pretty self-aware. And I think it's because I was so busy studying kids and getting to know myself. So I just found it fascinating. I really did. I found it fascinating. Anyway. So yeah, you get knowledgeable about anything that you study for 52 years. Also, I thought I was going to be a child psychologist back in 1980, I think it was. I took a course, a prerequisite course, and they kicked me out because I asked too many questions. They were good questions too. What they were teaching was garbage. I'm sure they fixed it up by now, but it was just crap. It was so patronizing. And I said, you don't patronize children. It's patronizing, like it's mean. I just hated it. Anyway, and all the other students started asking me questions about kids. So they couldn't get rid of me fast enough. I should have put up a fight and they would have paid double to get rid of me. So thank God I never did that. I would have been under that umbrella, which I totally disagreed with. It was just not for me. Okay, this one is my least favorite question, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to read it out, and I'm going to tell you why I hate it. Just can't stand this question. It's not about you. It's just the ages. If you need your toddler to come, but he won't listen, and you can't pick him up because you're holding a baby. My least favorite coaching clients of all time is a mom with a baby and a toddler. Do you know why? It's physical. How can I help you pick up a toddler if you're holding a baby? I can't. It's not something, you see what I mean? Like I love helping people, but I can't help you. The only thing I would do, I guess I can sort of, the only thing I would do is I would put a harness on that toddler before we went out. So leave the baby in the stroller or whatever, and I'd go running over and clip that toddler into a harness. And I would drag them if I had to. So yeah, it's my least favorite question because there's not much, my advice isn't very good because there isn't really good advice because it's physical, right? And yet someone can ask me, what do you do if your 16-year-old slaps you across the face? I know how to answer that one because that's more mental. I know how to answer that one. Very different. But yeah, there's physical demands on you when you got a baby and a toddler. It's just physically demanding. Okay, I'm going to try and read this out now because I got the giggles earlier. These are 3 common discipline methods that I hate. If you were with me earlier, you know what I said. That's why I got the giggles. Okay, these are 3 common discipline methods I hate. The one I hate the least is timeout. You go over there because I don't know what to do with you. You think about what you did, and they're not. They just feel like crap. It just doesn't teach them anything but how to feel like crap. And then they haven't learned any lesson. They've just learned how to feel like crap. I hate it. Anyway, the second one is the second one. It's not the worst, but it's the second worst. It's diversion. So if they're doing something rotten, you divert. Here you go. Here's a chocolate, because you never divert with broccoli, do you? You always divert with something fun, like a reward. So they learn if they keep hitting the cat, they'll get chocolate. So it's a reward system. You can divert little babies in that. It's a little bit different. Won't go into that right now, but diversion. So the least, so number 3 is timeout. Number 2 is diversion. And the number 1 method I absolutely hate, it's the worst one, is the countdown. When they're doing something rotten and you say, I'm going to count to 3 and you better stop. Okay. And you go 1, 1.5, 2, and then they keep, let's say they're hitting their little sister. They keep hitting, pounding her harder and harder, and 3, and they break. So what they've learned is it's okay to pound my little sister for 3 counts, but after that, there's no consequence, nothing. I got away with it. So I got a good 50 hits in, no consequence. They've learned nothing. It's a fear-based parenting method. You're afraid of them. That's why you're counting. 1, 2, I don't know what to do. 2, it's fear-based. So, and they pick up on that. They know right away that you're afraid of them. Instantly. If you start counting, they know you're afraid of them. And they're in charge. Right then, they're in charge and they know it. Okay, those are the reason I couldn't get it out before was because I had said the word discipline wrong. I said 3 common discipline. Now I got the giggles. Discipline. Oh gosh. I've had asthma. Maybe my tongue's swollen up or something. Okay, how can I get my 3-year-old to stop climbing kitchen counters? Put on the behavior board, no climbing kitchen counters, or no climbing anything you shouldn't be climbing. So they're not climbing on dressers or anything else. If they do, there's a consequence. They'll learn. We all learn through consequences. That's why we pay our taxes. If we never went to jail because we didn't, we wouldn't even pay them. If we didn't get speeding tickets ever, we'd probably speed all the time. We all live by consequences. We all learn that we have to be accountable or we're in trouble, right? Why don't you do the same for your children? Teach them how to act in the real world. Teach them how to be accountable. It's climbing, there's a consequence. First, practical steps to becoming a leader. Work on yourself. It's all about you. I'm not fixing kids here. I'm fixing parents. I'm going to read out my top 3 leadership qualities. This is for pretty much all ages, 3 and up. Well, the last one is more for 3 and up, but the first 2 are for all ages. Okay, these are my top 3 leadership qualities. Number 1, you stay calm during the storms. That's when you're disciplining. When they're acting out, you stay completely calm. No emotions. It's like a business transaction for you. Just stay calm. Number 2 is you can be crazy during the rainbows. When you're having fun with your kids, be nuts. Chase them with underpants on your head. Like I used to do stuff like that all the time. Number 3 is like, this is for 3 and above. Become a great listener. And a really good listener listens to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. A lot of parents do that. Big mistake, especially with teenagers. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it, and they already know it anyway. Yeah. So calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows, and become a great listener. Kids who tell their parents everything never get in trouble. My son said, well, I could never get in trouble because I knew I'd end up telling you beforehand anyway. So, he was the one who could have rebelled. He was a pretty easy kid, but he could have rebelled. He had it in him. If he was in a different home, he could have rebelled. He even said to me, he was 15, he says, I could never even rebel with you. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I didn't know whether to applaud or apologize. So I apologized to his face, and then I went out and celebrated. Anyway, so yeah, they can't rebel against a leader. There's nothing to rebel against. I was too reasonable and easy to talk to. He ended up telling me everything. So how can you rebel against someone you're going to tell everything to? He was about 16, and one of his classmates that he sat next to just said to him, hey, man, would you ever break the law? And my son said, are you kidding me? I'd be terrified my mom would get to me before the police could. It's not that he was afraid of me, but my disappointment would have been, if I ever went like, oh, sweetie, he would have just, That's what you want. But it would have been mutual too. If he'd ever looked at me like that, I would have been the same way. It was mutual respect, right? Okay, I got to get going now. If you want to check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have one for toddlers and one for older kids, or you can look into coaching. And thanks so much for watching me. I'll be back again. I don't know when. I haven't been good at doing Friday lives lately. I'm going to try and do one tomorrow. I used to do them every single day. We're just so much busier now. My daughter's working with me now too, but we're just busier. So anyway, I used to do lives every single day. I kind of miss it, but I just don't have a lot of time anymore. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again soon, and happy parenting. Bye now.